What's going on, guys? Aero here, and guys, welcome to my first video of 2018. 2017 was an awesome year for the channel, and that was all thanks to you guys. Your support had just been insane last year, and if you watched my first video of 2017, my goal was to reach 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you guys tripled that goal and made it even more to 11,000 subscribers, so I can't thank you guys enough for helping me with all of your support. And now this year, hopefully we also have another awesome year on this channel, and because of how we did so well last year, I tried to make the goal a little bit harder. So right now my goal is to double the amount of subscribers that we currently have. So I want to try to get 22,000 subscribers by the end of 2018. Hopefully we can get it, but yeah, hopefully this will also be an awesome year as well. So now that we're in 2018, of course the big thing that everyone who's into Pokemon is thinking about right now is the brand new Pokemon game on the Nintendo Switch. So even though that we know a brand new Pokemon title is being developed for the Nintendo Switch, we're still unclear on exactly when these games are going to come out. As if we take a look at the announcement that we got last year, they just said that the game may not release for more than a year, and if we also look at Nintendo's official documents, the Pokemon Switch game's release date is just set as 2018 or later. So in this video, I'm basically just going to compile all the reasons I have as to why the Pokemon Switch title could release in 2018, as well as all the reasons I have as to why it could release in 2019, and then I'll let you guys decide at the end on when you think that the Pokemon Switch title will release, and I'll also let you vote on this video as well, so I think it'll be cool to see what you guys have to say, and we'll also take a look at some Twitter responses that I asked as well. So yeah, let's get started. So the first year that we're going to start with is obviously this year, being 2018, so I'll give you guys all the reasons I have as to why I think that the Pokemon Switch title could come out in 2018, and then we'll take a look at all of the reasons I have for 2019. Alright, so the first reason that I have as to why the Pokemon Switch title could release in 2018 is because of the new staff that Game Freak has been hiring. So if you've been keeping up to date with Pokemon news, then you know that early last year was when Game Freak put up a lot of job listings for new developers and staff that they needed to work at Game Freak. And this was pretty unusual, and I know a lot of people were talking about this and talking about how this could mean that Pokemon titles were being developed for the Nintendo Switch, because at that time we didn't even know if Pokemon was going to be on the Switch, if they were going to develop any games. This was in like March, I think, like right after the Switch came out. A few weeks later we had people talking about how Game Freak was putting up these job listings, and I think even the description, it said to help develop like a world popular RPG, which most likely they're referring to Pokemon, like, because obviously that's known by pretty much everyone. So I can definitely see this making sense for a 2018 Pokemon Switch release, because if Game Freak really wanted to get this game out in 2018 or as soon as possible, and they knew that they wouldn't be able to do it with the small staff that they have, it would make sense to put out some job listings and get some new people working on this game in 2017 so that they could get the game out in 2018 or as soon as possible. Now the next reason that I have as to why a Nintendo Switch Pokemon title could release in 2018 is because of the insane number of Nintendo Switch sales that Nintendo is expecting for the fiscal year of 2018. So if you don't know, Nintendo actually wants to sell 20 million additional Nintendo Switch consoles on top of like the 10 million or so that they've already sold in the fiscal year of 2018. And so that fiscal year, I'm pretty sure, goes from like April of 2018 to March of 2019. Now, selling 20 million more Nintendo Switch consoles on top of the 10 million or so that have already been sold is an insane goal for even Nintendo to have in 2018. But if we think about it, it could be possible. The only logical reason is to have Pokemon release in 2018. And that's because Pokemon is a huge franchise for Nintendo, and that could easily sell all of those Nintendo Switch consoles. Because we already know that when Pokemon comes out with a brand new game, or whenever Game Freak releases something new, there's always around 15 million or so games that can easily be sold, and especially on a new system in high definition, and with all the people that are getting a Nintendo Switch right now, there's probably going to be so many people who haven't played a Pokemon game in a really long time, and they might be just thinking, well, hey, I have a Nintendo Switch now, might as well try this new Pokemon game on top of all of the other people who are going to be coming on the 3DS to keep playing their Pokemon games on this new system, and to buy a new Nintendo Switch just to be able to play this Pokemon game. There's easily going to be a lot of sales that can be done if Pokemon releases in 2018. Because if we think about it, the other games that we know that are going to be coming out in 2018, like Yoshi and Kirby and even Fire Emblem, don't stand a chance to selling that many Nintendo Switch consoles that Pokemon could sell. So really the big thing here is the holiday title, as we all know that if Pokemon Switch is going to be coming out this year, it's most likely going to be a Nintendo's holiday title for this year, as we already know that Pokemon is like a big hitter title on the Nintendo Switch. It isn't just like a game where you can release it pretty much anywhere throughout the year, even though it is possible that they could release it anywhere and we already know everyone would buy it. Nintendo wants to try to get that holiday market, as they know everybody's probably going to be asking for that for the holidays, so they probably want to try to release this game around November or so. So I can definitely see Pokemon Switch coming out in 2018 with a goal like that to sell that many Nintendo Switch consoles. I definitely think that it is possible, but it also depends on just their holiday game. If Nintendo has some other game that's in development that could be more likely to sell that, because I'm not saying that Pokemon is the only title that's possible. I mean, I'm sure if they have a brand new Animal Crossing, if they got a Smash Brothers port, those games can also help them reach that goal of that many Nintendo Switch systems sold. But I just think that if they release Pokemon, they can definitely do that as well. So they just have to have one of those types of games that can sell that, and if they don't, Pokemon is definitely going to be there. Now the next reason that I have here as to why the Pokemon Switch title could come out in 2018 is because of patterns. Now recently Game Freak has really been trying to avoid patterns and not make their stuff predictable, so I don't know if this is really a good reason, but I do want to talk about this because I think it kind of makes sense and I just want to give you guys my thoughts on it. The one thing here that I think we can all agree on is that the next remakes that are going to be coming out for Pokemon are undoubtedly going to be the Diamond and Pearl remakes. Now, I don't know if Game Freak has become aware of this, but they've actually had a pattern going on for every single Pokemon remake that they've had, which is that they've always split them by every 5 years. If we think about it, the very first remake that we got with Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green came out in 2004. Then 5 years later, we got our remakes for Generation 2 with Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver in 2009. And then 5 more years later, in 2014, we got our third generation remakes with Pokemon Omega Ruby and Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. So it would make sense if in another 5 years, we're going to be getting our Diamond and Pearl remakes, as that would keep this pattern going. But before that, we definitely have to get Generation 8, which is probably going to be this first Pokemon Switch title that's in development, so it would have to release this year so that they could release the Diamond and Pearl remakes next year, as I don't think that the first Pokemon title on the Switch is going to be the Diamond and Pearl remakes. They have to release a brand new generation first. That's pretty much how they've always been doing it, and then the remakes come out. So if Game Freak wants to stay true to this pattern and have the remakes come out every 5 years, that would mean that the Pokemon Switch title or Generation 8 would have to release in 2018. So another reason that we have as to why the Pokemon Switch title could come out in 2018 is because we already know that Game Freak has been developing this game for a long time. In a recent interview with some of the key developers for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they already talked about how Game Freak staff had been divided in half when they were developing the Pokemon games on the 3DS as well as the Nintendo Switch. And they talked about how they had a younger development team that was working on Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, while the core veteran developers were working on the Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch. So it would make sense to have like the younger team taking on this pretty easy game, as it's still pretty much already the foundations with Pokemon Sun and Moon, and they're just adding some new content on top of that with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, whereas the developers that have been with Game Freak for a really long time are working on this Switch title. And we don't know exactly when the staff decided to split up. We don't even know exactly when Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon had started development. They could have also been developing Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon alongside with the original Pokemon Sun and Moon as well. We really don't know exactly how Game Freak works, but I think it would make a lot of sense if they divided their team. We don't know how long the veterans have been working on Pokemon Switch, and especially now that Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon has also been released, we know that the veteran players are also going to get accompanied by the younger people who have finished working on Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and so if they all work together, that could easily get this game out in 2018. And finally, the last reason that I have as to why the Pokemon Switch title could come out in 2018 is to end the Nintendo 3DS. As we all know that the Nintendo 3DS is pretty much at the end of its life, and the reason for that is just because the console is really old. It's like 6 or so years old. I guess at this point now, since that we're in 2018, the system is 7 years old. I don't really see myself using my 3DS anymore. To be honest, I was only keeping my 3DS just to play the new Pokemon games, because the 3DS already had its big titles. We already had our 3D Mario game on it with Super Mario 3D Land. We already had our Mario Kart. We had our 2D Mario Adventure. We had our Zelda Adventure. We've already had all of these games that are come out on the 3DS. It's time to move on. It's time to make the switch to the Nintendo Switch. And I think it would make a lot of sense if Game Freak wants to end the 3DS. I think they know that they pretty much had the last game that was kind of the big hitter on the 3DS. And I think you guys can agree with me. I'm sure a lot of you kept your 3DS just for the reason to play the next new Pokemon titles. And now that they're also going to be coming onto the Nintendo Switch, there's really no reason why they need to make sure that 3DS is still alive, and I think that that would be a good reason to release this game in 2018. Alright, so now we're going to be moving on to all the reasons as to why this Pokemon Switch title could come out in 2019. Alright, so the first reason that I have as to why the Pokemon Switch game could come out in 2019 is because of patterns. And I know I mentioned patterns in my reasons for 2018, and there's really no reason you can argue with me there. It's pretty much true that every single remake has been split every 5 years. But here the pattern really isn't that true, and I still think it's worth mentioning. And the thing here is that pretty much Game Freak likes to divide up its generations by 3 years, as we usually get a new generation every 3 years, and they've really not always done this, and that's why I'm saying here that this pattern isn't that true, but I still think it's worth mentioning, as Game Freak usually divides up its generations every 3 years. I mean, we got X and Y in like 2013, and then 3 years later we got Gen 7 with Pokemon Sun and Moon, so it would make sense if they waited another 3 years so that we could get Pokemon Switch or Generation 8 in 2019, so that would be 3 years after 2016, which was the previous generation. So I can see that making sense, but I think there have been generations in the past that weren't 3 years, so that's why this pattern here really isn't as big. But I still just wanted to give you guys this pattern here, because I know some people have always been just telling me that it's too early for a new generation, we still need to wait a little longer, so that's just the reason that I have here. Now the next reason that I have as to why the Pokemon Switch game could come out in 2019 is because of the brand new Pokemon Zeraora. So I'm sure that a lot of you already know that there's a brand new mythical Pokemon that's inside of the code for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and this mythical Pokemon is named Zeraora. And this is going to be a mythical Pokemon that's going to be featured in a movie most likely, and it's going to be releasing in 2018. As I'm pretty sure Game Freak, every single year they have a brand new mythical Pokemon that comes out. With like 2017 it was Marshadow, and so in 2018 it's going to be Zeraora. So I think it would make a lot of sense to have Generation 8 come out in 2019, because in 2018 everybody's just going to be focusing on Zeraora, and I think that's going to be like the last Pokemon to wrap up the 7th generation, so it would make sense to kind of hold back on Pokemon Switch until 2019. I think that would make a lot of sense. I think they've also done stuff like this in the past, where they've like released their last mythical Pokemon and like they've waited for that generation to get wrapped up and then they start the next generation. So I feel like that would just make sense as to why the Pokemon Switch title could come out in 2019. Now the next reason that I have as to why the Pokemon Switch title could come out in 2019 is because of the Pokemon anime. Now the Pokemon anime is actually a really good indicator of when the next Pokemon games could come out, as we know that whenever Ash has pretty much done his main journey throughout the region that he's currently in, and once he's begun like wrapping it up and entering like the Pokemon League or whatever he's in, then we know that we can probably expect the next season or like the next new anime to start, and that's when we can expect the next new Pokemon to come out or the next new Pokemon games. So here I've actually not been following the anime for Gen 7. I don't really watch the Pokemon anime, so I asked you guys on Twitter where Ash is in the Pokemon anime, and so I am just going off of what my followers told me. So if I'm a little bit incorrect about this, I am sorry. I'm just going off of what they told me here, but it looks like a lot of you said that the recent trial that Ash has completed so far is Kahuna Olivia's grand trial, and so that looks like it's still a pretty far away part in the story, like, because if you remember when you're playing through Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, after Kahuna Olivia's trial there's still actually a lot of stuff that's left to do, and so it looks like that Ash still has a good amount of his journey left, which could lead us to thinking that the Pokemon Switch games could come out in 2019, or Generation 8 could come out in 2019 as well, because Ash still has a lot of stuff to do, and I could definitely see them dragging on this anime for all of 2018 as well as 60% or so of 2019, because this would most likely mean that the Pokemon Switch games will come out in 2019 around the holiday season or so, like in November, and then that's probably when like they'll start the brand new anime for whatever the next new region is for Generation 8. So I could definitely see them doing that if he still has a lot of stuff to do. But once again, like I said, I don't watch that much of the Pokemon anime, so if I'm completely wrong about this, if you think that the anime can't be dragged on for another 2 years or so, then definitely let me know in the comments down below. I'm just going off of what my followers said. Now the next reason that I have as to why the Pokemon Switch game could come out in 2019 is because of the Detective Pikachu game. Now if you don't know, there's actually a Detective Pikachu game for the Nintendo 3DS that's been in development for a really long time. I think it was shown off a few years ago, but they just never talked about it, and it looks like it's actually been reviewed and it's most likely going to be coming out in 2018. I think they pretty much already confirmed that, and so I know a lot of people have been wondering like when this game was going to be coming out, and so it looks like it is going to be coming out in 2018, and I think if they really want to make sure that this this game does well and they want to get some sales on it, it would make sense to release the Pokemon Switch title in 2019. As we all know, if a Pokemon Switch title or a main series game is going to come out in 2018, as well as the Detective Pikachu game, the main series Pokemon game is clearly going to outshadow this Pokemon game, or like this Detective Pikachu game, as no one is going to care about that. They're all going to be caring about this brand new Pokemon Switch title. So I think if they want to get some sales from the Detective Pikachu game, it would make sense to have that game released in 2018 and then hold off on Pokemon Switch until 2019. But then again, I don't really know if they would care that much about this Detective Pikachu game. And finally, the last reason that I have as to why the Pokemon Switch title could come out in 2019 is because of a recent tweet that Mr. Omori from the Pokemon team put up on his Twitter. So recently on his Twitter, he put up some job listing where he was asking for people to work at Game Freak for a big project that they have in 2019. Now this project he could be talking about doesn't have to be the Pokemon Switch title. I think it would just make the most sense. Now some of you might be thinking, well, Aero, then why would he hire people now if the game is going to be coming out in 2019? And we don't know exactly what this position is. I don't think that they said clearly, but it could just be for debuggers or something like that. Like maybe the game is already done and they just need people to debug it so that it could come out in 2019. We don't know exactly what he's hiring for here, but it's still pretty interesting how he's saying a big project in 2019. This could be well for a project that's going to be coming out even after the Pokemon Switch title and coming out the year after, but I still think it's worth mentioning how he has been asking for people to come work for Game Freak for a big project that's going to be coming out in 2019. Now I asked you guys on Twitter as well to give me your thoughts on when you think that the Pokemon Switch title will release. So let's take a look at my Twitter, and I actually did a poll about this a few weeks ago as well where I asked you guys, and I'll put that up on screen. I know a lot of you said that the game was going to come out in 2019, but I also tweeted about this yesterday, so let's see if we got any responses. And yeah, it looks like we actually got a ton of responses here, so yeah, let's take a look at them. And yeah, basically I just asked like when it was going to release and your thoughts on it. So the first one that we have here is from Eric, who says it's going to be in either late 2018 or early 2019. And I can pretty much agree with this, except I don't know about 2019 and being early 2019. I think that Nintendo knows that this is going to be a big hitter on the Switch, so they would probably want to go for a holiday spot, and it's either going to be in 2018 or 2019. That's what I think. VK Gaming here says, I would love a 2018, but if the game is good as it may be, then 2019 I'll live with. And yeah, totally me as well. I don't really have a preference for when the game comes out. I just hope it's really good when it eventually does come out. Stephen Ray here saying that I think that if they want the game to be as best as they can, they will wait until late 2018 or early 2019 to release it. That way they can make sure it has a good story and lots of content. Yeah, totally agree with you there. I think that they should take their time. Dark Gym Leader here saying, my thought is if Game Freak announces the Gen 8 title in January or February, this means a 2018 release. But if there's no announcement in January or February, that means a 2019 release for the game. We can confirm the situation in 2 months. And yeah, you're definitely onto something here, and I'm actually going to talk about this towards the end of the video. But yeah, definitely agree with you on that. Michael here is saying, Nintendo has my faith for holiday season 2018. Typically, Nintendo will do whatever they have to do to make sure a release date and Pokemon on the Switch for the holidays is too much of a sales opportunity to miss. And yeah, I can't agree with you. I can't not agree with you on that as well. I totally agree there. Barley17 is saying, I think it will be 2019, but fingers crossed it's 2018. I hope the rumors of the battle style change are fake and the battle style has worked all this time. There's no need for a change. I can't wait for this to be released. Totally agree with you here. I am a little bit worried about the battle system, but I think that they know what they're doing. And yeah, I know you guys are also saying that it's going to be 2019. Javier is saying 2018. They're definitely working hard on this game, especially since the whole game script is already translated. So you're definitely going off of the recent rumors that we've been hearing that the game's script has already been translated. Ahmed here is saying it's going to be 2018 and Metroid is going to be 2019. So that would make a lot of sense here. If they want to have Metroid become like a big title on the Switch, it would make sense for that to be 2019, as I don't think Metroid is that far into development. So it would make sense for that to be 2019's big game. And then 2018 is Pokemon Switch. Advent Meowser saying, I hope it's out in 2018, but I'm not sure whether it will be or not. Alcast is saying, I was debating late 2019, but now I'm slowly leaning back towards late 2018 to early 2019. The reason is because not everyone liked Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon for how much it left unchanged. So I feel like Game Freak is hard at work. Of course, they can always take their time, but not too long. So I know a lot of people have also been talking about this as well. Like, because of how Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon didn't have that much new content that I think a lot of people anticipated, it might mean that maybe they really just didn't put that much work into Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon so that they could get back to work on the Pokemon Switch game, and with that I would totally be fine with it. Cable is saying Game Freak's pattern in the recent year show that there is no pattern, and that kind of just goes against what I said in this video. But he says here we could get a Pokemon spin-off game this year and a main series game. Or we could get a spin-off this year and a main series games next year. It depends on whether there will be new innovations. And he also says Breath of the Wild took about 3 to 4 years to finish since it was a big release, so it could take up to 3 to 4 years for them to finish the Gen 8 games. And yeah, I think it just depends on when they've been developing the game. Dunder here is asking, I'm going to take a solid guess and say 2018. So you're saying 2018. This person here is saying 31st December 2018. I don't think it's going to be the last game of 2018, but or in December, I guess, but I think it could still come out in December. I mean, we've seen games like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 come out, so yeah, it could be something like that. J.A. Brown here is saying, it feels like it will be 2018. Part of me wants it to be 2019 so they can spend more time making it as awesome as it should be, and also I also really want it to be like the Alola region, but the way they've been pacing releases recently seems to indicate Q4 of 2018. And he also says here, I also can't really see them churning out another season of the anime to cover the time for the new generation of games. The story is moving into the Ultra Sun and Moon arc now. We're around 1 year of the anime, so there'll most likely be an Ultra Sun and Moon season, and that'll be it for Alola. So like I said here, you're going off of what I talked about in the anime point, whereas since I don't follow it, I don't really know what's happening, but it looks like going off of what you said, they are moving into Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, so it would make sense now if they kind of want to wrap it up and just move on to the next generation. Wow, this is like the most replies I've ever gotten on a Twitter question. Yazzie here is saying, I'd honestly be happy to wait until 2020 if it means if they gives us a glorious full game rather than releasing something too quickly and having to throw out a third version a year later with improvements. Now 2020 I think is a really far release. I don't think it's definitely going to be 2020, but I think 2019 at the latest. But yeah, I mean, if it's like an amazing game, I wouldn't have a problem waiting until 2020. I think Game Freak just wouldn't be happy like not giving us 2 games or 2 years worth of games, like, you know, not having any games come out this year or next year. So I don't know about that. Pikachu here is saying December in 2018. So yeah, I know it could come out in December. That's what the rumors have been saying. This person here is saying, I think we have to start here. It says, after all of this latest 20 to 25 episodes, after better, or actually I think we have to start up here, I'm not sure. It says, I still sure we will see the new games on 2019 because of movie 21. There will be Lugia and probably Zeraora. No place for Gen 8 Pokemon, and for the main anime it's too early. We wait Island Trials in 2 islands, the Ultra Recon Squad, Necrozma, and probably the League and Return of Greninja. So yeah, we still have to wait a little bit longer in the anime. That's why I'm thinking that they could come out in 2019. So yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your responses on Twitter. And so there you go, guys. At this point, I've pretty much given you all the reasons I have as to why the Pokemon Switch game could come out in 2018 and why the Pokemon Switch game could come out in 2019. So I really want you guys to give me your thoughts now, so definitely leave a comment down below, but I also want you to vote on this video as well. So right now, if you're watching this on mobile, then tap on your screen, and if you're watching this on a computer, then I just want you to hover your mouse over the video. You'll definitely see like a little eye in the corner here. I'll put an icon of it on screen so you know what I'm talking about, but if you click on that eye, you'll actually see like a poll that will come up as to when the Pokemon Switch game is coming out. So I left you guys a choice of 2018 or 2019. So I just want you guys to quickly vote on here on when you think the game will be coming out. I think it'll be fun to see what a lot of you guys agree on and when you guys think that this game is going to come out. So in the end, we won't know exactly when Pokemon Switch is going to come out until Game Freak decides to tell us, but there is a definitive way to know if Pokemon Switch is going to be coming out, and that's through a Pokemon Direct, as Game Freak is usually really clever about when they decide to reveal games. Now, Game Freak only likes to reveal brand new games when the attention is solely on them in Pokemon Directs. You never see Game Freak reveal brand new games at E3, you never see them reveal anything during Nintendo Directs. They only do them in their own specific Pokemon Directs, and you can't really blame them. They only like revealing stuff when they know everyone's going to be talking about and tweeting about and posting about their stuff that they're talking about currently at that time. And I mean, I can't agree with them on this. Like, obviously, if they revealed like Pokemon Sun and Moon in 2016, and I remember Pokemon Sun and Moon came out in 2016 and they revealed those games to us in February, but let's say if they did hold off on that, let's say like they waited until E3 to show off Pokemon Sun and Moon. If they did that, then sure, everybody would be talking about Pokemon Sun and Moon right after they showed that trailer to us, like for the starter Pokemon and all of that. But then 5 minutes later, what if Nintendo showed off their Breath of the Wild trailer, like that really big one that showed off like pretty much all the new sceneries and how the game was gonna look? Then you know right away everybody would be talking about Breath of the Wild, and no one would be talking about Pokemon, as that's just going to get completely overshadowed by Breath of the Wild. So Game Freak only likes to show us stuff when they know that everyone's just going to be talking about their stuff right after. It's not going to be during like a Nintendo Direct where there's going to be a whole bunch of other things to tweet about and talk about as well. So I think that the only way we'll know for sure is through a Pokemon Direct. So even though we're hearing rumors about like a Nintendo Direct in January, I uploaded a video about this, and I think now we've even been hearing rumors that it's going to be on like the 11th of January. I don't think that Pokemon Switch will be revealed here. I'm not getting my hopes up for that, and I'm telling you right now, don't expect Pokemon Switch to be revealed at this Nintendo Direct in January if it's confirmed to be happening in January. I think the only way we'll know for sure is through a Pokemon Direct. And so there you go, guys. That's pretty much the big discussion that we have as to when the Pokemon Switch game could release, whether it could be in 2018 or 2019. Definitely be sure to click that like button if you guys enjoyed this video, and also comment down below and let me know when you think that the Pokemon Switch game will release. Do you think it's going to be 2018? Do you think it'll be 2019? Definitely let me know all of your thoughts down below. If you're new to this channel, then please be sure to subscribe. I'm definitely going to have some more Pokemon content in the future, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero if you ever want to tweet me something or ask me something, and you could also get featured in videos like this, so definitely go and follow me there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.